The border was a really big sticking point in the 2020 election cycle because of Donald Trump and his administration's overtly cruel handling of human beings at the border. His goal was to treat the treatment of the migrants who come to the border as a scarecrow for other people. Basically, he wanted to promote as much suffering at the border as possible, to make it so that people will just not come. They'll realize what's going on. They'll be trapped in cages for months on end, given poor food, have to sleep on the floor. All of these be separated from their family members, maybe never see them again. The cruelty of the treatment of migrants at the border was actually part of his a part of his immigration plan. Biden ran on more humanity at the border, right? More better treatment of the people who came here. But it seems like lots of the vestiges of the Trump administration and the administrations prior are still here and are still hurting people today at the border. Now, I do think what's important to understand is that I personally believe that Biden is doing a better job at the border than administrations prior, even the Obama administration. But there's still lots of problems that exist and that need to be called out. It's not like we could just pretend like nothing's happening. I want to talk about some things that are actually happening. And recently, there was a guided tour in one of the temporary facilities in Dona, Texas, where it was the first time in the Biden administration where reporters were going to be let in to actually see for themselves what was happening inside of these facilities that are meant to be holding children. Let's take a look at some of these pictures. What did they see? What did they find in there? Those journalists. Let's take a look at what they found. A thread. Reporters toured the temporary border facility in Dona, Texas today. The Biden admin allowed pooled coverage for the first time. We saw a pod designated for 32 children under CDC guidelines, now holding 615. The facility is at 1,700% capacity. And here are some pictures at some stuff that they looked at. So there's this picture. They had a playpen as well. Unaccompanied migrant children aged 4 months to 9 years old are now being held in a recreational area around the clock because there's no room for them in the dormitory areas at all. So this is where they're keeping them. Oh my gosh, look, they're playing Disney. Wow, that's incredible. They got Capri Sun. Oh my goodness. The outdoor recreational area is being used to stage COVID testing before undocumented migrant children are transferred to HHS facilities. We counted more than 50 COVID positive and largely asymptomatic children waiting for their guaranteed bus right next to a soccer game. More than 2,000 migrants at the temporary processing facility in Dona, Texas have been there for over the legal limit of 72 hours. Senior CBP officials told reporters that more than 1,200 migrants are being processed and waiting to be transferred to HHS facilities. HHS has nowhere to put them. So this is where they're keeping them at the moment. Wow, they get TV. Would you look at that? The benches, they're just being kept here. Oh, what the heck? Gamer time? At least 39 unaccompanied migrant children have been in the temporary processing facility for more than 15 days. Acting Executive Officer for RGV Operational Programs Division, Oscar, Escamilla? How to pronounce this? Escamilla told reporters the legal limit is 72 hours. Raul Ortiz, Deputy Chief of the U.S. Border Patrol, told reporters CBP agents now seeing self-separation by families expelled under Title 42. Unaccompanied minors recross the border without their parents and seek legal asylum within the United States. Deputy Chief of the U.S. Border Patrol, Raul Ortiz, told reporters CBP anticipates more than 1 million encounters from migrants at the U.S.-Mexico border in fiscal year 2021 alone. 1 million children a year is what they're expecting at the border. And 1,600% capacity is going on right now in lots of these facilities, right? So why? Why is this happening? We touched on this a little bit before, and if you want to find out the first time we touched on this, I made a video about it on the YouTube channel. For YouTube viewers, you should be able to see it popping up on the stream now. The problem has not gotten any better. We are now at almost record levels of migrants at the border, and we just have no place to keep them at all. Let's dig into a New York Times article about it. No place for a child. Inside the tent camp housing thousands of migrant children. Migrant children and families are sleeping shoulder to shoulder on mats at the Texas border facility designated for 250 people. That is now holding more than 1,400. My bad, 4,100. 1,400 is a far different number. According to some of the first photographs to emerge from the crowded camp that has become the focal point of the Biden administration's struggle to absorb thousands of new arrivals at the southwestern border. Young children are being cared for by older siblings in a playpen area in the border processing facility in Dona, Texas, where a small group of reporters were allowed to enter for the first time. As I said repeatedly, a border patrol facility is no place for a child. Alejandro and Mayorkas, the Secretary for Homeland Security, said in a statement. He said border agents were working around the clock to move migrant children out of the overcrowded border facilities like the one in Dona into government shelters before they are being placed with family members and other sponsors. Oscar Escamilla, wait, I'm still pronouncing this name. Escamilla, the acting executive officer for the U.S. Border Patrol in the Rio Grande Valley, said it would be better for everybody if there were more room to move migrant children into government shelters. I'm a Border Patrol agent. I didn't sign up for this, Escamilla said as he looked at some of the younger children, many of them under 12, being housed in the facility. He said the youngest children were sleeping in playpens rather than in the large pods, where older children were stretched out on mats. It's so crowded in those pods, I couldn't possibly put these young kids in there. They would get hurt. In one case, a 17-year-old migrant child was caring for a newborn baby. Transfer from the border are not keeping up with pace with arrivals. Children have been entering the country at a rate of 500 a day, which two shelter operators this week said was without any recent precedent. In February alone, more than 9,400 ranging from young children to teenagers arrived without parents, nearly threefold increase from the same period last year. More than 4,000 minors were stuck in the detention facilities for more than the maximum of 72 hours allowed under federal law, according to the international government documents. The United States is currently has more than 17,000 beds for the minors in tent camps, emergency facilities and shelters. According to international documents, the administration is projecting it will need more than 35,000 beds by the end of May. So here's one of the massive problems. Okay, I want to tie this back to Biden himself. So Biden said that he was going to be lighter on, less cruel than Donald Trump on border policy. That means that more people were likely to come over the border. That's just, Donald Trump's policy of trying to scare people away from entering the United States. I mean, that's obviously something that deters people. So when Biden comes in, obviously people are going to start coming to the border more because they think they're going to be treated more fairly, less cruelly. And while that's happening, we don't have the proper facilities to even keep these people around, to keep them in what we would consider humane living conditions. Because I don't think anyone can really look at this and say, oh yes, this is the best America can do. We're the United States of America. We're the richest country in the world. We can do far better than this. Biden came out the other day and said that he didn't want his entire plans for his first year in office to be encapsulated by to be overshadowed by the crisis at the border. I think he absolutely should. I think that idea may be coming from, let's be completely honest. When he was running for office, we talked about this a little bit. I'm not sure if it made it into a YouTube video, but he said specifically that Hispanic people were not a part of his plan to make it to the presidency, to make it to the White House. They just weren't. So he didn't care about them. Now, if you realized, he didn't spend that much time in Arizona. He didn't spend that much time in Nevada. He didn't spend that much time in Texas. He didn't spend much time reaching out to Hispanic voters at all because he didn't think that he needed them. And honestly, he was kind of right. But just because you don't need them doesn't mean that they don't need you. You're still their president. You're president of everyone. And when you are, everyone's life matters in the country, and the ones trying to get into the country, the most vulnerable of them being people who just got into the country who are migrants. I believe he should be spending every single resource he has, every single day he has, trying to get these kids more stable and more humane living conditions, because this is completely unacceptable. And right now, We need 30, they are projecting at minimum 35,000 beds by the end of May. If you aren't spending extreme amounts of resources to do that, we will have a crisis that is almost more unprecedented than what was happening under Donald Trump. I mean, this is already a massive problem, a massive humanitarian crisis when he got into office, when Biden got into office. It's going to be even worse if we don't throw every single thing we have at it. Honestly, I think that Biden should put through another emergency declaration like Trump did, but instead of using that money to build the border wall, whatever dumbass shit that was supposed to be. He should be using that money to build more temporary shelters to keep these kids COVID safe, so we can stand by our guidelines with getting these kids out of these facilities in less than 72 hours. Because right now we just can't. Without 35,000 beds, we just can't do that. And it's not only dangerous for them once they get here, because we have to take kids in. I mean, I see other people talking about what things that we can do. We have to take the kids in. Like we can't just like find like a little kid holding like a newborn baby crossing the border and be like, what's up, my dude? Throw him like a little Tootsie Roll and be like, have fun in America. And not even, and some of these kids probably can't even speak English. Like, are you really serious that you think that we can just let them just go? The best thing that we can do is process them and get them to sponsors, and that's what they're doing. And honestly, like I said, he's doing a better job than Donald Trump at the very least. They have more expedited and readily access to attorneys. They are able to contact their sponsors, because lots of people, when lots of these kids, when they come over, they only have a phone number for a family member that's living in America, and that's it. And then like a little tag with their name on it, and that's it. That's the only thing that they have, right? And how do you know necessarily that this kid isn't being trafficked alone, and the person that you're giving them to is going to be another human trafficker? That's awful. You can't just let them go and do whatever they want. You know why? Because here's a story of a 9-year-old migrant girl who died trying to cross the Rio Grande. You can't just let them go. They're children. They'll die or be kidnapped. One of the two. And while I think that these processing facilities at the moment are absolutely unacceptable, and I think everyone should believe that, right now I think it's preferable to dying and drowning in a river trying to cross the border, personally. And I don't think Biden's doing near enough. This is ridiculous for this to happen. He should be held to extreme scrutiny. At this point, he's been in office for what has it been? It is the 3 months. 3 months. You should be getting every single resource you have to try to do something to help these kids out. We have to do it. 1,700% capacity is 1,700, right? So yeah, 1,700% capacity is not sustainable. Keeping these kids like this is not sustainable, nor is it humane. We cannot continue down this road. We cannot do it. Something has to change, and it has to start. I think Biden should be going to Congress immediately to try to get more funds to help these kids at the border. He should be absolutely working with non-government organizations that are trusted, with HHS, with Border Patrol, to get these kids out of these facilities that we have right now and into facilities that non-government organizations have for abandoned children in the United States. I'm not gonna sit by and let this just fester without trying to speak up about it at all. There are things that we need to be doing, but also I want you guys, don't fall for the trap of people who are just screeching about this. Lots of people are talking about this in a way that to just get internet points, to just get clout, to get clicks, okay, and to get likes on Twitter. All right, lots of things that people are saying. They just want they want the sick, cute clicks on Twitter, and that's gonna make them happy, and then they'll go to bed thinking about how much they've done for these migrants. They didn't do shit. Okay, they didn't do a single thing. Nothing about their snarky comments about how you said vote for Biden, and look what's happening now. Stupid liberal. You know, nobody cares about what they have to say. Let's actually talk about solutions. I promise you, 99% of the people who you see probably going on about this don't have a single solution to it at all. They don't. They just want to yell. They just want to be like, told you. They want to say, told you so, and then moonwalk out without a single care for these kids in their mind at all. They did not care. I personally care. There are things that we could be doing better, and there are actually solutions to this problem. Those people don't have them. Listen to people who actually do, and not just me. There are other people out there as well. Listen to some immigration human rights advocates. They have lots of things to talk about how the government could be doing a better job to handle the migrants at the border, and I think that they need to be listened to, and their advice needs to be taken in for how to deal with lots of the problems that we're experiencing, because this is not sustainable. This is not humane.